Hello, I'm Derek from Inflatable Sup Authority, and today I'll be talking about the top inflatable paddle boards of 2024. I'll be giving you all my insights as all these boards I have tested, so these are the ones that stood out to me the most. It should be noted that there is no such thing as a best inflatable paddle board, but rather a board that is right for you and your needs. So when looking at this list, don't put too much weight into the actual numbers, but more what stands out for you in terms of what board features, what on-water features, etc. would best fit your needs. Up first is the Carta Marina CX, which is the performance pick. Now this is actually a touring board, but we put it on this list because we felt that it was accessible for many different people. It was an extremely stable board, especially for a touring ISUP, and it would be good for most beginners to advanced paddlers. The board has fantastic glide and overall good maneuverability metrics. Some of the onboard features that really impressed me were the deck webbing, as well as the really grippy deck pad. The board just felt super nice to paddle and it's smooth, and it's really good, especially when things are a little bit windy and you're paddling against the tide, like you might be right here. The package that comes with the Carta Marina CX is also very good. We really liked the high quality canvas material of the bag. We also felt that the carbon hybrid paddle was very high quality. It felt very stiff. It was a very solid paddle, especially whenever you're doing those stronger strokes. The next pick is the Atoll 11, which is labeled as the beginner pick. Now, despite it having a bit of a lower score compared to some of the others on the list, this board is still supremely rigid and is a great choice for a lot of beginners because of the price tag that matches with it. I actually sold this to my buddy and he absolutely loved this board. He still thinks it is the most stable board he's tried, and he's tried over 5 or 6 paddle boards. The board is supremely stable and it has overall very good on-water metrics with maneuverability, tracking, speed, and of course stability. Now the package that comes with the Atoll is a little bit more bare bones, but what a lot of do-it-yourselfer outdoorsers would like is the fact that the Atoll 11 has a lot of D-rings right along the sides. This allows you to rig the board exactly how you'd like for whatever strapping formation you'd like, whether it's bigger things like tents or smaller things on the deck such as water bottles, etc. The Atoll 11 can encompass it all. Next up is the Sea God Skylla CX, the Brophy edition. Now this one is the design pick because the back of the board is just freaking beautiful. It features art from Brophy and is just so detailed. You'll definitely get a lot of good looks on the water. Now this board is one of the better constructed ones. It's one of the first boards that use the CX material, so crossweave drop stitch material that Sea Gods has. It makes it very rigid, and it's also a very good beginner board. Now it does have the pointy nose, but having said that, it's very stable, and it does this thanks to its wider tail. The two things that really stood out for me for the Skylla CX, besides obviously that amazing design, was the fact that the bungee deck webbing is a little bit closer together at the front, so there's 4 rows. That means that you could put smaller items into the front, which really helps with you putting those smaller items that you use more often up front. I also really liked the fin box and the fin that came with it. Now the fin box is actually split in half, which allows you to fold the board a lot better. And it's also a click-in fin system. So you just slide the fin in and you put one rubber dub in there and you click it right in. Next up is our maneuverability pick, the Blackfin Ultra CX. Now the Blackfin Ultra is a board that is supremely maneuverable, meaning if you just dip a paddle in the water while you're paddling, it responds just like that, and the board can turn on a dime. Now this isn't the most stable board in the lineup that we have right now, but having said that, it's a really fun board, especially if you have a little bit of experience with paddle boarding. You want something a little more responsive, something that's pretty quick in the water. It's also supremely lightweight at about 19.5 pounds. The Blackfin Ultra CX is also supremely portable. It comes with a little portable backpack as well as a 5-piece paddle, which allows you to go just about anywhere with it. In fact, we've tested it. We've put 2 of these portable Ultra boards in our trunk and they're able to fit just perfectly. I really liked the package design of the Blackfin Ultra CX. I found that the board was very compact and is very well put together. Like, I like the pouch that also includes the fins as well as an electric pump. By the way, this is a big bonus because I feel like people underestimate how much it is to pump these boards. Some people like it. I personally don't because I have a little bit of a bad back because I'm supposedly an old man. But I really appreciate that they included the electric pump in this package because it will make your life a heck of a lot easier if you don't want to do all the manual pumping before going out on the board. Up next is the Isle Pioneer Pro. Now this was the best constructed board that we found. This board was supremely rigid and probably the most stable 10'6" board I've ever stood on. This is a fantastic board for beginners getting into paddleboarding. Not only is it a very stable package, it also comes with a kayak hybrid kit, which makes it super easy for kayakers to transition into paddleboarding or vice versa. We really appreciate how the Isle Pioneer Pro organized their board. Now the board has the Isle Link system, which is a bunch of loops that go all the way around the board. That makes it an extremely adjustable package. So whenever you're in kayak formation, you can adjust it to whatever length you want, whether you want your knees to bend or go forward. You can do it all. You can also organize the bungees whichever way you want. So you could have 2 in the front, 3 in the back, 3 in the front, 2 in the back, crisscross, straight, however you'd like it. Now, one of my favorite accessories from this package was the carbon hybrid paddle. We really appreciated that it was adjustable from both blades, making it accessible for almost any kayakers of any arm length. Next up is the iRocker All-Around 11 Ultra. Now, this is our portability pick, and it's very similar to the Blackfin CX in that it comes in a very compact package, so the backpack, bag, etc. Now, the iRocker All-Around 11 Ultra, we found it to be a very responsive pick in the water. It won't be the most stable board on the list, but it is very fun to play with because as soon as you dip a paddle in the water, it instantly responds. Now, we actually did a little test between the iRocker All-Around 11 Ultra and the regular All-Around 11, and we found that the All-Around 11 tracked better, but the All-Around 11 was a lot more responsive and it accelerated a little bit better in the water. I really liked the onboard placements that this board had. It kept a lot of the good things that made the All-Around 11 series a really good series. So it has 3 action mounts, 5 rows of bungee deck webbing, as well as 4 free D-rings for kayak seats or shoulder straps or whatever you'd like. Now, just like the Blackfin Ultra CX, we found that the All-Around 11 Ultra is a really smartly packaged board. Like they come with a backpack, it comes with a collapsible paddle. Now the paddle, I'm not necessarily a big fan of because it's a 5-piece paddle, and for this series that I have, there is a bit of play in the paddle, but apparently iRocker has since rectified that with their newer versions. Now, something of course that I really like about this package is it comes with an electric pump, which is honestly a game changer. You know me, I really like electric pumps. So it's a overall very good value-centered package that is very portable. Up next is the Newport G5. Now this is a small to medium paddler pick. And what I mean by that is that the board, it's a little bit better for those small frame, medium frame paddlers. A paddler like me, not necessarily the most ideal if you're a beginner. But having said that, I did paddle this board for 5 hours yesterday actually at Schwanigan Lake, and the board handled pretty well. It's not the most stable package, so the board won't be the most stable compared to a lot of the others on this list, but it is still a very good maneuverable board. We actually did a full test between the Nixy Newport G4 and the G5. We found it to be a little bit quicker, a little bit more lightweight, but it did lack a little bit of stability. Now, we think it's because they got rid of the side fins, and that may have helped with that. What I like about the Newport G5 is that they kept a lot of the same features that made the G4 a good board, especially the onboard features. Like they have the 5 action mounts, they have the 2 rows of deck webbing at the front, which I actually really like. I found that the 2 rows in the front is good for smaller items, and for me personally, I like to have a lot of the smaller items right in the front of the boards, like water bottles, sandals, etc. And there's 3 rows in the back for your bigger items. Now, I found that the Newport G5, they did improve the construction a bit. They now have welded seams on there. So that is what a lot of the higher tier manufacturers have. But one of the cons is that they stripped out a lot of the accessories that made the G4 package such a great value package to get. It doesn't come with a bag. It doesn't come with that lightweight paddle, which I absolutely loved. You can get them at a discount at the website, but they don't come with the package, unfortunately. We would love to see it personally come with the package, but with inflation, the way way things are going, we can see why they stripped them out. Next up is a board that we've personally put quite a bit of miles on, and that's the Gili Meno 11.6. Now the Gili Meno 11.6 is the multi-passenger pick, and we say that because the board performs very well with 2 full-grown adults. We actually tested it at Kootenay Lake, paddling to Castle Jazz Fest, and we had 2 full-grown passengers. It paddled beautifully, even through the waves, all that. We were super impressed with the maximum capacity that the Meno 11.6 had. Now, in terms of on-water performance, it was also very impressive. The board was super stable for 1 person or even 2. It's a great family pick as well, so if you want to have a kid, a dog in the front, it's perfect for that. We also saw that the tracking metrics are really good at about 9 strokes a side. It's actually better than the all-around average, which is about 5.8. The maneuverability is also pretty good for a longer board. So there was really a lot of metrics with this board that pleasantly surprised me. Gili Meno 11.6 is a real value package. Now it comes with a nice bag, has a lot of padding. Actually, the most padding I think I've seen out of any of the other sub manufacturers, especially on the back, the shoulders. The bag is also very well constructed. There's a little label on there that says fin pocket, and I really love that because when you're done paddling on the water, a lot of times you just want to throw your fins into the backpack and call it a day, but this subconsciously kind of communicates to you, oh, this is where I put the fins. The paddle is also very good that came with the package. We love that. And one of the things that really stood out is the fact that this board actually comes with 3 different types of center fins. Now we really like that addition to this package because if you're going in a shallower area, that touring fin that usually comes with the board or the dolphin fin might be a little bit too long. So with the 3 different fins, you get a speed fin, you get a river fin, and then you get the touring fin when you're in bigger bodies of waters such as lakes. Up next is the Bluefin Cruise, which is our value pick. Now the Bluefin Cruise is called that because it offers a good bag, pretty good paddle, and if you get the Royal Blue version in the US and Canada, it does come with a little kayak conversion kit. Now it's not necessarily the best kayak conversion kit on the list, but it'll do, and it's good for paddling with an hour or so. This board offered good all-around stats all around, so the board is fairly stable. It's not as stable as perhaps something like the Gili Meno 11.6 or the IO Pioneer Pro. In wavy conditions, I felt like I had to kind of sit down. It was doable to stand, but it wasn't necessarily the board I'd choose for some rougher conditions. Now, I found that the board had pretty good maneuverability as well. We actually did a test where we tested it with the side fins versus without, and we found through a lot of different instances of maneuverability tests and tracking tests that this board, the side fins do enhance the tracking by about 2 strokes. And that's been pretty consistent with a lot of the boards that we've tested so far. Some of the things that I liked about the Bluefin Cruise board is the fact that it had a very grippy deck pad. I specifically liked how the crocodile style deck padding is very grippy on the feet, especially when the board is wet, which is honestly a pretty big key. I also really like the 5-year warranty associated with this board, especially when you look at the board's price point as well. It's actually very impressive that they attach that warranty onto there. Some of the other things that I do like about the package is that there are some handles on it. There's also an action mount right at the front, which you can video yourself just like I'm doing right now, but on the board. It's right on the nose, which I think is the best place on the paddleboard for shooting videos. We couldn't have a best inflatable paddleboards list without a fishing board on here. So our pick for that is the Bote HD Aero. Now the HD Aero is a very stable board. It's actually one of the most stable ones on the list, which makes it really good for all sorts of different kinds of casting. Now I paddled it along the Nickel River behind here, and while it's not necessarily the best board for tidal rivers, I did find it to be super stable throughout a variety of different conditions. The board will be slower because of its 34-inch width, but I mean, for fishing boards, you're not really looking for speed, are you? You want that stability. The board also tracked pretty well thanks to its speed fin, and it also has very good maneuverability metrics as well, especially for 11-foot 6-inch board. One thing I do like about the Bote HD Aero is the fact that it has a lot of cool onboard accessories that you wouldn't necessarily see on other subs except for Botes. So it has slide-in rack mounts, which allows you to use just about any sort of rack mount that Bote has. So for example, there's ones ones that wrap around buckets. There's a full-on fishing rack. There's even a rack that has lights on it. So a lot of possibilities there. It also has a paddle sheath that is included in the package. Now this paddle sheath, it can get in the way a little bit, but I find if you just want to stand and cast and you don't want to bend over and put your paddle in the bungees, paddle sheath is perfect for just placing it in and just having a few casts. We found the Bote HD Aero to have a very good accessory package as well. Now this package comes with a full-on bag, and it is a bigger bag, but it's also good for less than perfect folds, especially if you've been on the water all day and you just want to call it a day, sometimes like I do. The board also has a good paddle I found. It's a fiberglass paddle, so it doesn't have the heaviness of the aluminum, but it keeps the same strength, which I think is very good for fishermen. And it also has a polyurethane blade. Now I know when you're fishing, especially in the shallows, you're going to be bumping your paddle on a bunch of different things, but the polyurethane blade helps keep things very stable. It doesn't scratch, it's not going to dent it. It's a very strong blade, and it's a very strong paddle package. Last but certainly not least is our budget pick, the Retrospec Weekender Plus 2. Now this is a very good package for a very inexpensive price, and it gives you a whole lot of value as well. Like, it comes with a kayak seat that's actually inflatable, it comes with a kayak blade, it comes with a shoulder strap, comes with a phone case, comes with a bag, pump, paddle, etc. You just get a lot of value with this package. Now the accessories aren't necessarily the top-notch, best quality ones, but they get the job done, and it's a pretty good board. Now on top of that, we also found that the on-water performance of this board was actually very surprising. For its round nose and wider tail, we found that the board actually tracked very well. And that was thanks to its slide-in 5-inch side fins. Definitely helped improve the tracking to B7 strokes aside, as opposed to about the 5.8, which is our average. The maneuverability is also very good on this board as well. It did about 3 reverse sweep strokes aside, which is very good, especially for a board that has 5-inch side fins. Really impressive. And on top of that, the board had very good stability. I was very impressed as soon as I stood on it, or even when I was on kayak formation, I was rocking it back and forth a bit, kind of testing the limits. And the board was just very easy to paddle. And it was actually a very fun cruising experience, especially when you're on a lake, etc. I wanted to shout out a few honorable mentions as well, which are still very good picks and would probably be on other people's best inflatable paddleboards lists. So first up is the Thursosurf Water Walker 132. We found that this board had really good stability, especially for beginners, but it's good for paddlers of most levels. It offered good maneuverability, good speed, and it was very well constructed. It was overall just a very good board that had a good amount of stuff included with the package, and things such as its side fins, center fin, the click-in system are very good accessories to have. Next up, we wanted to give a shout out to the Gili Komodo 11. Now the Komodo 11 is a really good kayak hybrid pick, and it's also a very good SUP yogi pick as well. We felt that the board was very stable, and it had a big encompassing deck pad that could span the entire length of the board. That was really good, especially if you have dogs that need grip on the front of the board, etc. And on top of that, Gili gives a proceeds of each Gili Komodo 11 purchase to dog shelters, which is a really good cause because I personally love dogs, and I think that's really good that the founder Jay is doing that, so good job on him for doing that. Last up on the list is the Bote Easy Rider and Low Rider series. Now these were some of the most comfortable kayak packages I've ever paddled. The seat was supremely comfortable. It's like that scene in Borat where he's sitting in the hotel chair and he's like, king of the castle, king of the castle. That's kind of how you feel like on this board, is the only way I can really describe it. If you like pop culture references, shout out to you. But it also had a good amount of accessories with the package, and it was smartly designed. The lowrider is the one that's a little more expensive. It has some of the more premium accessories on it, like the bag is vinyl. But the Easy Rider is also a very good package. It's just about 2 inches smaller in length, but supremely stable for both paddleboard and kayak formation. And both boards are really good for those starting out, both in kayaking or paddleboarding, and they want a nice hybrid to paddle. And that's a wrap. Do you think I missed anybody? I'm sure there's a lot of great boards that we haven't been able to test that would make this list no problem. Let me know, and I'll put in requests for future tests. Thanks for watching this roundup of the best inflatable paddleboards 2024. I'm Derek from Inflatable Sup Authority. If you like this, feel free to like, subscribe. It goes a long way in helping me grow the channel, etc. You can also visit my website, www.inflatablesupauthority.com, for written reviews. And you could also look in the bio for the links, like the reviews and the product links, etc. Thanks for watching.